Hi guys, Mr. Murphy here again, going over hopefully what will be the last video. Yesterday we ended on percent increase and decrease, and we kind of had to race through it. I made a little mistake. 100 divided by 674 is 14.8%, which would round to about 15%. It's a 15% decrease. Now, this is very similar to the problems we had started with. We had started with a problem, would have been something asked like, if I have a phone for $674 and the sale price was 15% off, how much does a phone cost? And you would say 674 times 0.15. which actually doesn't quite give you $574. Because we rounded it, it doesn't give you $574. And it wouldn't even round to $574. But, well, let me give you the answer. Let's put it in the calculator. 674 times 0.15 is $101.10, which then would be the new cost would be 674 minus $101 would be $573 or $572.90 if you wanted, which is about a 15% decrease. So basically, this problem is the same as what we started with, except you don't know your percentage. You can go through this and work yourself backwards, but that requires some algebra knowledge. We're saying, hey, here's a shortcut. Find out what is the difference, which is $100, and divide by the original price, and it will give you a percentage. And you can tell me the percent decrease. You can do it either way you want. If you forget, if you don't remember this formula, which is old, which is new minus old over old, and then times 100 to make it a percent. If you don't remember that, then you can think of the old way. On the test, I will probably put that on the board or something so you don't have to memorize it. Today we're going to become an expert in percent increase and decrease. So to become an expert, we need to be able to do it forward and backwards, but you already know how to do it forward and backwards. You just don't think about the steps. So we have to remember the steps, not the procedures. So if the steps are find the change and divide by the original, then convert to percent. To work backwards, we convert to a decimal and multiply. So today, pollution in the air increased 20% to 62.4 parts per million. How many parts per million was the air quality yesterday? Well, so 62.4 times 0.2, because that's 20%, gives us 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4, 6 times 2 is 12, 2 decimal points, 12.48. So yesterday, today it increased, so yesterday it should be smaller. So 62.4 minus 12.48, that would be, that's a 3, that's a 10, so we have a 2. Got to borrow 1 here. 13 minus 4 is 9, decimal point. 1 minus 1 is 0. 6 minus 1 is 5. So 50.92 parts per million. Just working it backwards, looking at the answers. We remember this from yesterday, or maybe 2 or 3 days ago from when you did it. The last problems are percent errors, and these are kind of similar. It's one more step. So if percent increase and decrease was working backwards from our original problems, then percent error is adding one more step on top of it. Step 1, you subtract the expected from the actual, and step 2, you divide by the actual number, and step 3, you make it a percent. So you remember that's a lot like percent increase and decrease, where you subtracted the old and the new and divided by the old. Here you're subtracting the expected from the actual and then dividing by the actual. So I expected the bacteria to grow by 5%, and it actually grew by 4.7. What was the percent error? So I'm going to say expected was 5, my actual was 4.7, and divide by 4.7. And then I multiply all of this times 100 to make it a percent. So let me put that in my calculator 2 steps at a time and find the answer. 5 minus 4.7, really don't need a calculator for that. 5 minus 4.7 is 5.0, so borrow 1 from here. 10 minus 7 is 3, decimal point there. 4 minus 4 is 0. So I have 0.3 divided by 4.7 times 100. 0.3 divided by 4.7 is 0.06382978. I'm just going to stop right there. 0.063 rounds to 0.06 times 100. I'm going to move this decimal point 2 places over, so I have 6%. So what was the percent error in the measured growth? 6%. Very similar to what we did yesterday and the day before in percent increase and decrease, which again is very similar to everything else. So that's all your problems. Good luck on those, and there will be a lot of practice problems you can get to in a little bit.